Welcome old school legends and car audio enthusiasts. Today I'd like to talk about that exciting topic called sound deadening. Or is that sound damping or sound absorption or acoustic treatment? Now I remember when I was younger, which wasn't that long ago, I used to pretend that I knew everything when it came to car audio, and I think we're all guilty of that at times. When you're having a conversation with someone, you sit there and you might drop a few phrases that you've heard or you've read in a manufacturer's pamphlet or in a magazine and set a few keywords to cover up those gaps that you've got in your knowledge. And it's important to understand that you don't need to be an expert in everything to have your opinion validated. You can have an opinion on things if you're well informed, and that's the purpose of part of what we do at Old School Car Audio, is to inform people and give them the principles that will underpin the decisions that they make. In some respects, us car audio fanatics loosely throw around this term called sound deadening. Now, sound deadening encapsulates a whole bunch of stuff. So in general terms, we're talking about acoustic treatment, we're talking about sound absorption, dealing with resonant frequencies, dealing with vibration. Without getting into nitpicking, when we say sound deadening, we're meaning this broad range of acoustic control measures, if you like, that we put into a car. So I want to dive into that, into some detail, and really talk about why we do it, what are we actually trying to do when we sound deaden a car, and what are the principles behind it, so that drives our decision making when we go looking for products that assist in the sound deadening process. For example, your bass head, your extreme SPL guy is not going to be interested in sound absorption, because that's effectively absorbing some of the sound wave, reducing the amplitude. They want reflection, so they put in highly reflective surfaces in the car. Now, on the other hand, your sound quality guy is very interested in sound absorption, because they don't want reflections. You don't want the sound bouncing around. Unfortunately, you have to deal with glass and some hard surfaces. So we try and treat the vehicle as best we can. So with the Cube, we're building a sound quality car. So we don't want highly reflective surfaces. We want to absorb some of the sound. So let's go back to our mantra. Plan your work, work your plan. And I think the first question you need to ask yourself, the most simple and basic question, is, what am I trying to achieve? So in this respect, we go, well, we're trying to eliminate all those noisy sound issues that we don't want. So let's write them down. So let's create a list of what are the issues that we're going to deal with, how are we going to mitigate or eliminate those issues. So I've created a list and we're going to go through them one by one, and that will help. If we understand the principles of what we're trying to do, that will help drive our decisions when we buy materials and our installation techniques. Okay, so issue one is vibration, and vibration is effectively when an object oscillates, and that can be caused or induced by your engine with some imbalances in your car, and road vibration vibrating other panels. So how do we treat vibration? Well, we treat vibration through damping, and by damping control we can control the oscillation of that by reducing the amplitude. How do we actually achieve that in terms of material? Well, we actually need to use foam and different densities of foam to reduce vibration. When you have unwanted vibration, you need to perhaps think about using two different densities of foam. So when a waveform passes through a layer of foam, it will reduce the amplitude. When it goes through a different density of foam, it then reduces it further. So if we can overlay two layers of foam, that's the most effective vibration control in a car without going to extremes. So we could go to extremes, but these sort of panels don't really fit well in a car. They're an acoustic panel that you would probably put in a home theatre room. Another extreme example are these generator panels. So these are a perforated galvanised sheet packed full of acoustic material on the inside. And these are used in offshore installations and gen sets, and they work really well, but they weigh a ton, and again, totally impractical in the car. So item 2 on our list is external noise, and we treat external noise with the same material that we would use for vibration control, because effectively noise is vibration of matter as it comes into your car. So we need some high density foam to stop the road noise, and that's noise from your tyres, noise from your car, and the noise of the road coming up from underneath to the floor of your car. So again, multiple layers of different density foam is best to treat vibration control. Item 3 on our list is reflection. Now, reflection is when a sound wave strikes an object and reflects or is redirected in another direction. So in your car, you have your speakers and you're listening to your audio, and the sound waves are coming off, they will hit hard reflective surfaces like your glass, and that sound will bounce, and we really don't want that. Now, acoustic foam like this, again, highly impractical to have in a car unless you've got a very big car. And the idea is, as a sound wave comes in, it's going to get trapped to some degree. You cannot 100% absorb all the sound. If you actually had to try and do that, you would need a 6-foot panel of acoustic foam to 100% absorb the sound waves. So we're trying to do the best we can. So foam, again, acoustic foam is good in some areas. If we can get this sort of triangulated foam through the roof lining, that's also a good idea. Now, one of the key things to realise with acoustic foam and sound absorption is sound absorption will not absorb sound pressure. So your subwoofers or your low frequency notes are effectively sound pressure. So they are a pressurised wave, and a pressurised wave, really this will have no effect on it at all. So we're not going to absorb those low frequencies with thin foam layers. Really one thing to remember, and just to have an understanding of what sound pressure is as compared to a sound wave, if you like. Fourth one on the list is resonance, which effectively is vibration. Now, resonance occurs when something like a panel or a thin piece of metal in your car, like a door skin, will vibrate, but it is caused by something else vibrating. So again, sound pressure from your subwoofers will vibrate a panel. When that panel oscillates, that's called resonance, when it's caused by another thing causing the vibration. So there's two ways we treat resonance. Now there's damping control, again with our acoustic foam, and then there's adding mass. Now adding mass will lower the natural frequency of that particular panel. Therefore it will take more energy to cause the panel to reach its maximum amplitude. So it'll vibrate less. So we add mass to lower the natural frequency, causes it to vibrate less, and we damp it as well with foam. So there's a reason why some of these products, and I've got a few in front of us, have some mass in them. They weigh a little bit. It's because a lot of these have a heavy duty vinyl with a foam backing and an adhesive pad. So these are the sorts of things that we use to treat vibration. Some of these come with a larger layer of foam, which again is good for some absorption. But ultimately, these sort of products are all about vibration control. And sound absorption will come when you put a thicker acoustic panel in the car. Now, unless you're showing that panel inside the car, it's really going to have no effect. So when we talk about these principles of sound deadening, when we talk about sound attenuation, we're talking about putting the sound absorption materials in the right places. That is sound attenuation. When we're talking about damping, we're talking about vibration control. So understanding the principles we've talked about, adding mass to panels, adding foam layers of different densities to control vibration, there's really not a lot of place for expandable foam in cars because it doesn't add a lot of mass and it doesn't do a very good job of vibration control. It does, however, stop things rattling around, but I see a lot of people using expandable foam and it doesn't add a lot of value. So spend your money wisely. It also makes a great deal of mess. So in our Cube, we have put on all panels from our doors to our roof and floor, we've put 2 layers of high density acoustic foam, and then we've put a layer of sound absorption foam over the top of that. In the front of the car, we've put the roof lining back in, but that was simply just to get an understanding of how deep we could put the foam in. That will actually come off, and this will be perforated to allow sound to come through and actually be absorbed to a certain degree in our sound absorbing foam here. So when people talk about panels being dead or sound deadened, effectively they mean that there's not a lot of vibration on those panels, and you can tell that when you knock on the outside of a panel. It doesn't rattle around, it sounds dead. So that's the riveting topic of sound deadening, and it's important to realise, I think, that you're in a challenging environment in a car, and there's only so much you can do before you're faced with obstacles like taking out your glass windows and putting in some nice big foam panels. So really you can only do the best you can with some of these smaller sort of foam based materials, and that will get your car less noisy, if you like, sounding a lot better with your audio. But it is really important, as I said, to understand the principles behind why you deaden and understand the application. What are you going for, if it's a sound quality car or if it's a SPL car? Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I really hope that was informative and gave you some understanding of why we're doing what we're doing in the Cube. And you can follow us on Facebook, our Instagram page, or YouTube. So stay tuned.